But anyway, we need to get into you because this is your
This is
interview.
about me, girl. This is about me, girl. What are we talking about?
Okay, so you are originally from Panama.
Yep. Born in Panama, raised in the States. From Brooklyn to Jersey. I rep Jersey though. I do stand up comedy about the fact that I rep Jersey. It was very white when I was a kid, but you know what I mean. I'm the cool black friend in your white friend group. You know what I mean.
So what part of Jersey?
So we moved to Roselle, New Jersey first. That was decently mixed. Okay, so I'd say a lot of Caribbeans live there. I remember having a lot of Haitian friends, things like that. And
I
then
go to a bakery there called Pinho's that I
there you go. There you go. But what happened in Roselle is my parents were paying for Catholic school. Caribbeans want to put their kids in the best schools possible. And they realized that the Catholic school wasn't, really educationally where it should have been. Right.
mm,
And this is like early 90s, like 90, 91-ish. And they figure out that, maybe they'll switch us over to public school. And the public school in Jersey was called Abraham Clark. And I remember my father coming home and being like, "Oh, there's police at Abraham Clark High School.
mm.
Kids having to go someplace that there's police." So I give a lot of love to my dad on this move because I was a big hater during this time. So I was in seventh grade. In the middle of seventh grade, they decided that we were going to move south to a town called Old Bridge, New Jersey. Okay,
I'm familiar.
very close to the Jersey Shore. I used to be a kid like the Sandlot, riding my bike, doing BMX tricks, jumping things. We would just go out, play Nintendo and go crazy, right? And I
Yeah.
was at the Old Bridge, and I couldn't ride my bike nowhere. It was Route 9 and Route 34 and Route 516 and a bunch of highways and a bunch of little like communities. I ain't never seen nothing like that. And we had
Right.
a town. Roselle was a town. You could go over the bridge, over the creek. Alexa, stop. You can go over this, da 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 da, right? That Alexa probably knows everything about me. But he made a very smart. My dad is an extremely smart, self-made man, and he said, "Check this out." To himself, he didn't say it to me. If I put my kids in Old Bridge High School and they graduate Old Bridge High School, they'll be guaranteed entrance into Rutgers University, the state school in New Jersey. Okay.
Mm.
But kids were leaving Roselle and not getting guaranteed entrance to the big state school. So he was like, "I'm going to do this." I don't know if he knew this part of it, but my uncle from Panama came over, Uncle Arcelio. His daughter stayed with us. Shout out to Desi. And they brought a video camera.
Mm.
Me and Desi made music videos, talk shows, all summer. And then the next fall, I end up in a high school, like a year later or so, I ended up in high school that had a beautiful television program. So
Wow.
my first check ever for work, like real work. My first check was like $486. I'll never forget. And it's for me like shooting and producing something for the high school.
That is
Rest is history.
awesome.
Rest is
That
history.
is awesome.
Mhm.
So now what was your first official um industry gig, like big television gig?
So I tell this at my, I run, I'm on the board of a charity called Launchpad,
Mhm.
friends over at Wheelhouse, right? And I just told this story on stage. After my dad got me those skills in high school, I walked into college kind of, being able to, strut my stuff and, kind of know some stuff. I went to a
Yeah.
school called RHONJ University, and I'm a big dude. I'm not small, right? So I go to an internship at Fox Philadelphia, go birds, and I thought I was going to be somebody's assistant for like the reporters. Everyone
Mm.
became an assistant for a reporter, but because I was big and I'm sitting
Mm.
there and I couldn't fit my tie, right? They was like, he should be on the football team, right? So I ended up sidelined as the assistant to the main sports director at Fox Philadelphia. As a kid, I
Oh,
was 21
dope.
on that job, right? Mainly because I was eating too much Fridays, right? And I was in today's man, I was like, "You gotta wear a tie." And I swear to God, I must have been sitting in that interview all jacked up, right? So I was like 260, something like that, at like 20, 21. So I'm a big dude, and I was probably not that big back then. But I get a job at Fox Philly, but it don't go nowhere really. But
Mm.
I was learning how to direct from one of the best guys named Tom Shrednicek in all of Philadelphia. So I'm sidelined for the Eagles every Sunday with an earpiece, ready one take, ready three take, da 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 take. So I got Fox, I got sports, I got I did a documentary in college. It was big, right? Couldn't get a job. The advice that I give everybody is the randomest people will find you work. And a young
Yeah.
woman named Lisa Bloom, who I was definitely in a documentary class in college. We weren't like everyday friends. She said, "Hey, I know Rasheed is available." And I got a job at a company called Broadcast News, BNN TV, Broadcast News Networks. And they was doing small documentaries for A&E Investigates, MSNBC Investigates, things like that. Fast forward, because I knew how to edit and because I knew how to shoot, they made me an associate producer within like 2 months of me being there, because God makes a way. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
opportunity, and God makes a way. And I just kept volunteering. I was like, I know it's my job to sit here and take notes and, transcribe, but I'm going to hang out at this office. It's a cool office. They got a roof deck.
Mm.
We can see Empire State Building. I've never seen nothing like this. It's a glass office. They got, games in here, man. This place is fun. They're gonna let me shoot the cameras, play in the edit bay, da 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 da. So Steve Rosenbaum was my first boss, and he noticed that I could do a lot of stuff. And I'm a kid coming out of college. I would have taken any job at that point, right? So I did an A&E Investigative Reports as my first big job, because the show itself lost its edit software. So they was editing on Avid, and I was volunteering on Avid all the time, and they lost the hard drive. So they was like, "Hey, would you like to become an associate producer?" And I was 21. I was 21.
Wow.
But that was a job that made me, and then I lied about my age to become a director at the BBC. So at 24, I started directing at the BBC a show called What Not to Wear with Stacey and Clinton. That was big. It was very, very big. And I wore my girlfriend's, shoulder bag, looking like I was from a different world. I had a saddlebag, a white shirt and a saddlebag, my glasses, and some slacks from Banana Republic. I walked in that mode like I was 30. Okay.
Right.
I was saying what's up to everybody. I was like, because I had known people, because I've been working for a couple of years. So I was like, "Hey, Emma, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? So I'm really fronting. And then I take my first job. It was actually in Atlanta. I went to go direct a What Not to Wear episode in Atlanta. And we get to the Atlanta airport, and we at Hertz. And Hertz looks at my license and says, "You can't rent a car." And I was like, "Oh, they're going to bust me. They're going to know all that." And my assistant was like, my AP, she's big at Nickelodeon now. She was like, "Just tell them you're 30. And I was like, "I'm 24. And she was like, "You 24 directing a whole TV show?" Like, "We gotta clean this up." And I cleaned it up. I'm a hustler, man. I cleaned it up, man. I rented my own little Dodge Durango for budget. They let me rent on my debit card,
Right.
And then we went down and I started killing them What Not to Wear episodes, man. I traveled the whole country. That was one of my favorite jobs. We went to every city. I went to Sundance for What Not to Wear, Austin, stayed at the Four Seasons, drove around, rented Escalades. I thought I was, big pimping.
Wow. I love that story. That is awesome. Okay, so let's fast forward. You have a successful career in reality television, Love and Hip Hop, Deb's House, now Wags to Riches. What first inspired you to get into unscripted television, reality TV?
So interesting. Everyone says that I did Love and Hip Hop, and technically I did Chrissy and Mr. Jones, right?
Okay. Oh,
You remember
okay.
that show?
Yeah.
And I just saw, Mrs. Mona Scott Young over at Real Screen, and I told her this story because it was a season when New York had gone 2 seasons, and Jim and Chrissy had gotten into a big fight with the production company, right? Accusing them and all this stuff. So they gave them their side show. So New York 3 started. I believe Carlos started on Atlanta 1 started. And then I came in to take Chrissy and Jim into Chrissy and Mr. Jones that first season, which I think I didn't do the second season, right? But yeah, so I did Chrissy and Mr. Jim. There's no Love and Hip Hop officially on my credit list. Reality TV. I was a documentary kid, right? So I thought I was going to be Michael Moore or something like that, right? Like I liked having a camera and editing my stuff, so I liked it, right? And then I always said I was a big fan of The Real World. Period. I said I'm going to direct The Real World, right?
Yeah.
Sending tapes for The Real World, right? Like we would go to the park in Washington Square Park and take out our cameras and be like, "Yo, what's up? My name is Rasheed. I should be on The Real World because I'm crazy." Like I used to do a lot of that stuff, right? And What Not to Wear was so basically it was all documentary first, right? So I did documentaries at PBS for a company called Lion TV, right? And then I was on the train. This is a true story. God prepares you one more time, right? So I was on the train, and then, it was we were scrappy. We didn't have, these production companies weren't paying me a whole bunch of money. So I had a light kit, and a camera bag in the other hand, and I was taking the A train to Brooklyn with one of my boys, and we was about to do a little dating show. And a woman named Allison Howard walked on the train, and she said, "Y'all still carrying around your own gear?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, we're going to do this interview. You know, this girl in Brooklyn, da da da." And she was like, "Yo, this was it was 2003." And she said, "Yo, these British companies, they pay it money, right? You can get some money out these British companies, right? All the American companies are poor. These British companies, and the company that created Wife Swap was doing a real big dating show. And I ain't never seen nothing like this. Like it was like supposed to be like The Bachelor, but the young version for ABC Family. And I came in there and I was like, oh, we got this many people to produce a show, right? I was used to it being like me and two homies, right?
Right.
Man, we got a crew, all these people, and we got all these walkies. I didn't have walkies before that, you know? And
right.
Never, my executive was Jamie Simpson. I ain't talked to him in a million years. And he laid it down in a way that was a real showrunner. He was like, we'll shoot this, and then your job over there, APs, you got to take notes at the end of every day. And it was really my, like graduate class in reality. So I did that show. Then I think the biggest thing that probably happened to me was, I was on a show called Son of a Gun. I directed a show called Son of a Gun with Nick Cannon. That was the original Peter Guns, right? So Peter Guns and Corey Guns is my first scene, right? So I felt all cool, you know what I mean? I'm doing a hip hop scene in Harlem. I lived in Harlem at the time. I was like, oh man, I told my girlfriend, I said, yeah, we gotta go out, give me a black t-shirt. I'm gonna wear some cargo shorts. I need some new J's. She was like, cool, yeah. Hook me up, went out, shot Corey, whatever. But I will say at that time, MTV did not know, and I don't think any of us knew where reality would really pop off to, right?
Yeah.
And my storytelling really grew when a really good friend of mine named Anna DeCosa, she produced the first season of Insecure. She said, hey, send me your resume. And I was looking for work, like often. I was sitting in my apartment, waiting for unemployment checks, looking for work. That's a true story, right? Of my little Harlem little townhouse, right? And she said, yeah, they're looking for somebody over at New Jersey Housewives. And this why props to Carlos, because Carlos King, Kingdom Reign, did season 1 into a Housewives. So maybe they was looking for another brother. I don't know what it was. Looking for somebody, and they wanted somebody who knew how to direct camera, right? So I did the meeting, and I'll never forget the boss called me back. Her name is Kat Rodriguez. She called me back and she said, so I'm worried about your personality. I'm not kidding. She said, these housewives, they got big personalities. Are you going to be able to be in a room with somebody that's got a personality that's big and you stand back a little bit? And I was like, yes, I'm good. But Housewives is where it really blew up for me, right? Because once you get Housewives on your resume, everything changes.
Right.
The way that they told stories is they would have these, and this is how I later, ran Black Ink and everything. We had these big rooms with index cards all over the walls. And I was like, wow, they really got this figured out. And it was like we was taking real motivation from like Modern Family and other comedies and moments and really like blending them into reality shows. I was like, y'all got this down to a science. Oh, let me make a hip hop.
Right.
Let me flip this script real quick and go over and do Lala's Full Court Life. Like, hold on, we could, I'm a quick learner. So that's how reality started for me.
That is dope. So, okay, so speaking of the development process, we've been seeing a lot of reality personalities like quitting shows and like going off about production, saying that the shows aren't authentic and that the stories are made up and just like really throwing production under the bus. So, how do you balance the drama, authenticity, and the entertainment value when you're producing the show? Because we've been seeing a lot of this often, even on my show. Like, you recorded it, right? That's you. Okay.
Okay. So check this out. The first thing I say to this question always, I get it a lot, right? Is that I understand talent more than talent is understood in the universe, right? Because, at one point I probably wanted to be talent. I wanted to be an actor. I didn't think I was going to be a reality TV producer. I thought I was going to be Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? Or Cindy Hall. So what most producers don't.
Okay, so wait, back up. When you said you do comedy, you serious? Like you?
Oh yeah, we
consider doing comedy.
Well, okay. So I will listen. If we go back up, I will say this: that reality TV was not like my number one goal as a kid. It didn't exist,
right?
But what existed was Arsenio Hall every single night.
Right.
And that's my entry into running a production company. Like I figured out that this black man could walk into a control room and say, I forget what the director's name is. He had a white female director. He said, hey, Sally, cut to the tape. Right. And I was like, that's the same guy from Coming to America. And then I knew him and Eddie Murphy were friends, and they would get on the couch. They would do the and I'd be like, these brothers is moving. And if you watch old Eddie stuff, like old interviews, he was really talking about how Hollywood was hard. You know what I mean? And I was like, and at the end of the Arsenio Hall show, it says, and it says A-Hall Productions. I was like, oh, and my father was, again, a big, self-made man, technical man. He always was DJing in our house. The Purple Rain album came out. He had every speaker on.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? He had it wired. So we had a little music room in the basement. So he called himself Nivor Productions. That's his name, reverse, right? Rovin is his real name. He called himself Nivor Productions. So I was going through like a tough breakup or something, and and I went to school for acting, and I studied at like Gotham Comedy Club and Second City and like all that stuff. As side stuff, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm like constantly directing and training a cast member like how to perform on stage or how to perform on a show, but like I like being funny, so why not try it out? So catch me on the comedy circuit. Long story short,
Okay.
You know what I mean? Let's go. What was we talking about?
Okay, so back to like, how do you balance drama, authenticity, and
then talent? That's it. So the first thing I'm looking for is authentic. And regardless of what anyone says, talent has it hardest out of anyone, right? Producers think they got it hard. Talent's got it hard. Like, would you like your divorce to be on TV?
Right.
Would you like your kid yelling at you to be on TV? That's real hard. That's real wild, right? So the way that I produce is, in a sense, I really want to see what's inside the group chat on TV. That's my joke, right?
Yeah.
People text each other like, girl, I ain't even like that dude. Because I think Black content specifically, if we want to excel and if we want to move forward, we have to let the story in. Like, if you think about Spike Lee, for example, I got an alpha brick behind me, and I'm going to give it up to Spike. He is not an alpha, right? But I went to my sister's slumber party, right? And watched School Days through the door, okay?
Yeah.
Those brothers popped up on School Days and was like, the oldest and the coldest of all Black Greeks. I was like, so then when I saw them again in college, when I saw alphas again in college, I was like, wait a minute, this is hitting my heart, you know what I mean? So and so. So how do I balance it? What I say to this question is that real life has natural drama, period, okay? And what I feel like is happening now a lot in the industry is, we're all very familiar with making your own content. So everyone wants to be in control of your own content, right? Because I can hold my phone right now and shoot a reality show.
Right.
Make it about, the fact that I'm a cool stand-up comedian. Is that my whole real life? Absolutely not, right? How I have to fight for deals or fight for contracts, that's the real story of my life, right? That's my real group chat, right? Oh, yeah, we got an in-style interview, but then, in 10 minutes, I got to go talk to these UTA cats, da-da-da-da-da. That's my real life. So how I balance it is trying to really like get to the root of who someone is, right? Like when I'm telling a story in my story rooms, I always say, if you're at the root of me, it's not the funny me. It's not like, the guy who can direct. That's not the real root of me. That's the person that I'm putting off into the universe, right? If my daughter comes, my 5-year-old daughter walks up to me, that's real me. That's real me. My daughter can shut me down at any moment. I could be angry. I could be mad, I could be sad, but you want to see me and my daughter. But when it comes to authenticity, a lot of us might not want to show our daughters on TV. Think about it that way, right?
Right.
So what ends up happening very often is that a cast member or a producer have separate ideas on how they want to tell a story, right? And access is the biggest thing that people are looking for inside of the community, right? Like my partner on Deb's House, Deborah Anthony, right, who created the show, right? She said, for season 1, you guys haven't watched it, she said, I want these girls to become a blank canvas. That's one of the first things she ever said to me, right? Girls to rip off their wigs, take off all that makeup, and become real. That's one of the most authentic things I've ever shot in my life, right? Because like back when I was at Bravo on Blood, Sweat, and Heels, this is probably 2013.
Oh, yes, I remember that show.
Right? Bravo called us and said, hey, there's a lot of these shows where the women are wearing their wigs constantly. Can you get someone to take their wig off? That was 2013. We shot Deb's House in 2024, 11 years later. And Deb finally got a whole crew of rappers to be like, pulling out tracks
Yeah.
That is the level of authenticity that we like to do at Team Sheet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you do that on a very high profile show, right now, if I told you, hey girl, do me a favor, you know what I mean? Rip off all your makeup and just do this interview like that. You'd be like, hey brother, chill. Right? So I think that's what's happening, right? Like we as a people, like speaking very directly, like we as Black folk have had to deal with so much in the universe that we don't really want y'all to see everything. Get in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
In the heart of Atlanta, where secrets simmer and tensions rise, comes a reality TV show like no other. Old conflicts continue.
So this is where the whole issue started. Fuck you! She know I don't fuck with her.
Expect the unexpected.
In our industry, anything could happen.
He what?
Canceled last minute, and his publicist called and was just like, I'm so sorry.
The event is literally tomorrow. What are we gonna do? I gotta figure out something fast.
It's time to take this to a new level.
It's always some type of foolishness going on.
I told you, babe, we gotta do shit that makes sense.
If your shit go right, then I can frame your company up and then bring in collaborations.
When it comes to the team, let me manage that.
Too much energy.
I don't care.
Business and pleasure sometimes doesn't always mix.
What's up with your love life?
I'm single and ready to mingle, baby.
They doing a shucky ducky like you doing a shucky ducky, and y'all mix a business with pleasure.
He's the one who put in all my life.
That man married, cause that's your little boyfriend.
He has more things going on than he is supposed to.
Like a wife?
Yes.
But in the end, it's all about business.
Don't come here to do me any favors.
This your thing, is your rule.
That's it.